Is the crypto market dead? Is the bull market over or just getting started? Did hedge funds get too bearish? Did macro heads like me get too bearish? Maybe. Is the market going to go straight up in August? Is the market going to go like this in August? Yes. What does that mean? How should you trade it? What's going to happen in September? The suspense. Why did Arthur Hayes sell? If you want the answers to these questions, the good news is you are in the right place. This is the Market Update. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Because guess what? We got 2 streams a day. We got your morning meeting, which is quick, fast, in a hurry. And we got the big show for you tonight. It's going to be a big show. All right, let's talk about everybody getting all bearish. So Nasdaq breaks down. The stock market is absurd at so many levels. Hedge funds all attack, get short. Then what happens? Whoosh. Market goes straight up. Same thing for crypto. Although I don't think crypto should be caught in Nasdaq hootenanny to begin with. But altcoins can be. Altcoins will be. Now, when you get these kind of volatile environments, especially in August, when liquidity is thin, this may be a golden time for traders, right? It's up. I love it. It's down. I hate it. It's up. I love it. That may continue. There may be a lot of that. Now, the other scenario is that crypto just floats higher like a balloon, right? There's an old saying, don't short the quiet market. Now, there's nothing quiet about this market, but if it does get quiet, because remember, Europe doesn't work in August, and New York is leaving in 10 days and not coming back until after the U.S. Labor Day holiday in September. So if the market gets crazy and then gets quiet, that is not going to be good for the shorts. Now, here's a new question. Why did Arthur Hayes sell? Because Arthur Hayes was like, I'm dumping ETH, I'm dumping Pepe, I'm out. I'm going to get to buy this back lower. Arthur Hayes is a thought leader. Most thought leaders are rarely wrong, but they're always early. Always early. So Arthur Hayes is probably a little early, maybe a week, maybe a month early in expecting something to happen to Nasdaq and have that impact crypto. Now, what are the key levels that you need to navigate? Don't worry. I'm going to give them to you because I'm nice. I'm going to let you know what the levels are that you need to understand what's going to happen next in August. But that said, there are developments which I've written about extensively in the Patreon Platinum and VIP areas last night that you do need to be careful in this market after August. You do. Now, the level I'm talking about in Bitcoin, because I won't keep you in suspense, is 116. I worked with Toby on this number. So she is in the VIP member area where we will be discussing this at length on tomorrow's podcast. So if Bitcoin is above 116, crypto's fine. It's all good, right? Because if Bitcoin's not going down, that's fine. All right. Alts can fall all they want, but if Bitcoin doesn't go down, alts eventually stop, realistically. Now, let's talk more about Bitcoin. Did you know that between 115 and the high at like 122, 7% of the total Bitcoin supply changed hands? Meaning whales sold and ETF guys and Michael Saylor and Bitcoin treasury companies bought. So you really had the bulls and the bears mixing it up in that range. Now, obviously, Bitcoin has left that range, leaving anyone who bought above 116 a little worried and in a vulnerable position because, you know, they just bought a bunch of stuff and they're not going to sell it So if the market goes down, they either got to look at it, take the heat, or hedge, which never works out. So that 116 level, where at the bottom of where all that volume transacted, that matters. Second big thing for Bitcoin, you got a lot of people with a lot of profits. It's so simple, right? Bitcoin's done nothing but go up for 2 years, and Glassnode notes that people just have a lot of profits to take in Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin can't really get above 116, I think it's safe to say people are taking those profits, because I'm not the only person looking at the Nasdaq chart. Neither is, Arthur Hayes is looking at the Nasdaq chart. Every hedge fund is looking at the Nasdaq chart. That's why they got all bearish and they got all short, hence the rally. Okay. So profit taking in Bitcoin is possible if it can't sustain itself above a certain level. Profit taking in Bitcoin or Ethereum is possible because both of those coins have outperformed. Remember ETHzilla and the 10,000 target? Ugh. As much as ETH is near and dear to my heart, 10,000 targets with firms named ETHzilla. No. No. Now, my point about this is people who believe in Bitcoin long-term, their beliefs are always tested, right? You cannot ride to glory without a test, right? It harkens back to the movie 300, where, this young kid has to go out in the snow with a fur covering out in his shorts and has to fight the giant wolf with a stick. Now, he won and became king, but he still had to fight the wolf with just a stick. If anybody remembers that movie. If you want to ride to glory, you may have to take some heat. Saylor took some heat. He bought it, 48K was his average price, and it went to 16. And everyone thought it was going to 10. So he took the heat for 6 months. Now, I don't know if people are going to have to take the heat for 6 months. And again, we discussed what the heat scenario looks like in our private group, but safe to say the Arthur Hayes sale is not stupid. It's not. Now, of course, he's not stupid. But for somebody to say, you know what? I'm a little concerned about NASDAQ. It's worth it. Now, one thing I will give you for a hint, because we gave the coins in the Patreon group, is I think on rally days like today, where you get ETH up like 6%, everything's up and it looks like it's going to the moon, I think you need to be asking yourself, do I believe in every single one of the altcoins that I own? I know Big Rich believes in his. I get it. Right? He bought the dip. Big Rich is smart like that. He's a star member of the Patreon group. But you do have to ask yourself, do I seriously believe in all these coins? Maybe you believe in 5 and not the other 5. My recommendation to you, and it's not investment advice, this is an opinion show, is that you seriously take a look at what altcoins that you have that you're not completely in love with, that you're not married to. You want to look at that particular coin and say, if this coin lost half of its value in September, would I be okay? Or would I be a basket case? Now, if you look at other altcoins and go, oh my God, if this was down 50%, I'd be looking in between my couch cushions for spare change to buy more. Okay, that's fine. But again, keeping in mind that, August is either going to be very choppy or just float up like a balloon. This is a perfect time to take stock, particularly on up days. Don't take stock on down days. Don't freak out on down days in August. Don't. So on one hand, NASDAQ has told you something. On the other hand, people probably got way too bearish, way too quick. My sort of recommendation is that you evaluate. Now, speaking of evaluating, Citi, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs are leading the blockchain charge to Ripple. I don't really understand. I mean, I know the market got smacked on NASDAQ, but wow, they really destroyed XRP and made that guy who sold above $3, who I was criticizing, look like kind of a genius. But still, banks are coming. This is a major theme of the YouTube member area. Banks are coming. And one of the reasons you know banks are coming is because there's going to be trouble with Nasdaq. There's going to be trouble in legacy. Like maybe it's the Bank of Japan that has to be rescued by the Fed. Maybe it's a bank in Japan that has to be rescued by every central bank on the planet. There's a lot of stuff out there. The orange man is like this close from taking this tariff thing too far. In other words, he had to back off when the stock market went down. So as long as the stock market doesn't go down, he can continue to press the issue. And, you know, it's published in the Patreon group as to what happens when you have a trade problem, interest rates too high, and a euphoric stock market. It's not a good combination. And you throw in a little GAN work in there, it's not good. It's not. Now, that said, if all that goes down, if it all happens, banks are going to be like, you know what? We need to get in a decentralized world. And who knows? They may get there before that happened. Because there could be a glorious outcome for crypto where you do have a disturbance in legacy and crypto really doesn't go down. Because people have been asking me, it's like, hey, Bill, what happens if the darker scenario from legacy does not happen? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I can't really sing, but I will be singing because that is crypto off to the races to a massive new high on like a 2017 type of trajectory, particularly in altcoins, which have been suppressed. So on one hand, that's why you want to keep some of your alts, right? Because time in the market is more important than timing the market. I just don't want you to own, you know, pool coins into a legacy event. Because when Nasdaq started to crack, normally, so let's go into that. What happens after a nasty drop like that in stocks? And I've seen this. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen this. So stocks will drop. Retail immediately comes in and buys the dip after hedge funds get short. And then equities will then proceed to retrace 76% and even a little more of that decline. 76%. You set your watch on. I mean, it went there, practically went there overnight. We'll go over the charts. Now, the key to equities failing is if it can't get through the 76% retracement. And then it'll do it again. So you know that you have a problem with stocks if you get this scenario. Down 76% retracement. Down another 76% retracement. If you see that, trouble's coming. Trouble ain't waiting until September. Trouble's coming. Now, if you don't see that, carry on. Carry on. Bitcoin gets above 116. Lovely. 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 But the NASDAQ reckoning, government mistakes, stuff going on in Japan, phony baloney accounting. You know what? I think, especially after this short squeeze that they've had, it's scary. Now, at the end of the day, I don't mind saying, and we're going to say this in the YouTube member area, we're going to say what month we think it's going to be. But I think if crypto goes down because of NASDAQ, it'll be a generational low. It'll be it. You'll never see it again. Right? Especially if it's big and nasty. Now, let's have a brief talk about nasty. I mean, the market's up 6%. Great. It's a perfect day to talk about nasty. Everyone says, oh yeah, if it goes down, I'll buy the dip. Oh yeah, absolutely. Until the dip happens. Until it's not a dip, it's some kind of problem. Because I think it's binary. You're either going to have no dip and a ride to glory,